You know, you're coming off the end of the world on Netflix and you played Winona in Pink Skies Ahead. What draws you to these young women characters?
I like playing people that are like really flawed, and I do like playing people that are unlikable. I actually saw a meme about myself on the internet, and it was like Jessica Barden being offered a role that isn't unlikable, and it's like me slapping shut like a phone, and I'm like, no, decline. And I was like, yeah, but I love that. I like playing people that are flawed and complicated, where on the outside they seem very strong and on the inside they're vulnerable, because it's interesting to play. It probably definitely is the type of person that I am deep down, like whatever. I'm not a method actor, but I think it's only natural that we want to play things that we can relate to. So Pink Skies Ahead is based on your life, and it's based on a passage in your book when you found out the world is against you. What did it feel like to bring this part of your life to life? Like, what was it like to direct me and to think about it and like relive it all again?
Writing it was very different from directing it. I would say when I wrote it, I felt a lot more emotional, but directing you, I was weirdly able to like separate myself from my own story. I mean, it isn't fully autobiographical. Winona's journey with mental health is autobiographical, you know, from the diagnosis to dealing with her family and all of the shame.
Your life wasn't exactly like Winona's.
It wasn't exactly, but when I was writing it, it felt pretty close. But yeah, on set, there were like no moments, you know, where I felt emotionally the same way I did when I was writing it.
Because I'm just bad. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
I felt nothing.
You brought so much of yourself to the role, and you were so strong in that character that I didn't see myself in it at all, which is like such great work on your part, really. Did you feel any pressure playing out this character in front of me, since it was kind of based on me?
Yeah, because when you first offered me this role, I was like, she's made a mistake. I'm not that cool. Because, you know, until I met you, I thought that you were like so cool. I'm joking.
You were like, oh no, she's just a lady.
Oh, you are such a cool person. You really are. And also, like, I had followed you for years, and you don't understand how cool you are and like how smart you seem and how comfortable you are in yourself, and the way that you mix humor with the things that you talk about is really cool. And I was just like, she's made a mistake. Like, I'm just gonna turn up and like be a foot. I don't know. Yeah, of course. But I kind of feel like every director that you ever work with has chosen the film because it connected to them in some way. So I always feel like I'm working with a director where they see themselves in the movie. So you always have that pressure. But for as much as I'm saying this, like, I felt like our relationship was very safe and like very open, and there was nothing that I didn't feel like I could discuss with you ever. So it was also just like the easiest job that I've ever done, because it was the easiest relationship that I've ever had with a director. So it was scary until I actually was there doing the job, and I was like, oh, right, like this is just gonna be great. Like, Kelly is my friend that I'm going to work with every day. So this is your directorial debut. What about this moment made it seem to you like this is the time to go from being a writer to being a writer and a director?
I don't know. Whenever I write a script, I can envision the whole script like a director could. But I think it felt so much like me, and I knew it was a small movie just based on the script. It wasn't gonna cost a lot to make, and I sort of knew that this would be like a good into the business, since I hadn't directed before. And I knew nobody was going to just give a first-time director like a $30 million movie, and I've written those before.
They don't give $30 million movies. They have done some men though. Like, plenty of guys like came straight out and like made crazy movies.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Imagine that lifestyle. But yeah, that's why I wanted to make this one. It was so personal, mostly because it was such a mental health journey and it was my mental health journey, it would have felt weird putting that in somebody else's hands that like hadn't felt those things that I felt.
So obviously this movie explores mental health, which is like a very serious subject, but also there's a lot of funny moments in this and there's a lot of humorous parts of Winona. Like, why was that so important for you to mix together in this movie?
I think it's just because that's life. Like, if you have a mental condition, like, you're not always going to be like in the mental condition state of mind. I just wanted to portray real life for people with mental conditions, which is you can be, you know, a leader, you can be outgoing, you can be all of these things, you know, and have a mental condition. And I think that a lot of characters in past films have been, you know, portrayed as like a one note mental condition. If they're depressed, they're just depressed. And if they have OCD, they're just washing their hands and counting things. And I wanted to show like a real journey that includes all of the joy and happiness as you know, along with all of the confusion and pain that goes with it.
Obviously, we have anxiety, and I feel like within our friendship, the way that we discuss our anxiety, we spend a lot of time laughing at the weirdness of our life. And my therapist always reminds me that that's important. But also it's just as important to say, like, you can't just be like, oh, I've got depression, like I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna start laughing at everything, because like that's not okay. Like, it takes work.
What message do you hope this movie will send to young people, especially young people who might feel lost?
Okay, well, I think that like all young people feel like really lost right now. I think that like obviously before the pandemic, this movie was always going to be important, because I feel like we are at some kind of like a crossroads where we can actually like change the way that their life is going to be, because they feel so much more open to like learning. Like, they want to be like really great people in a way that I don't think really existed before. They want to talk to people about mental illness. They just want it to be like a safe place for everyone. And the pandemic happened, and I feel like young people, and we talk about this all the time, but they are like really going through a bad time. Their generation is really dealing with this completely differently than everybody else, because their lives have genuinely completely stopped.
Yeah.
They're trapped at home, and this movie I think is so important right now for them, because I think that so many people from that generation have anxiety anyway. This movie is so important for that generation. Kelly knows more about it than I do.
I totally agree with you. I hope that kids and young adults, you know, with the ending of the movie, find like hope and inspiration for themselves, even if they're in the same sort of terrible mires of like anxiety and panic attacks. I really hope that Winona's journey, you know, this little part of her journey and like finding therapy and opening up to her family, I really hope that kids who watch it feel some hope about their future with the ending of the movie, and that things are going to be okay.